Take two. I did this whole thing and it didn't record, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to do a little bit of backtracking, go over what we went over last week, and then give you some new stuff. So we're starting with the Fogg behavior model. Motivation, ability, prompt. Behavior change equals motivation, ability, and prompt. So when you want to change a behavior, you need all three of these there to do it. You also need motivation and ability. So I already said that, but low to high, hard to easy. These are the continuum that we are going to look at. And then, for example, if we were to donate to the Red Cross, if your motivation is high, say your family was helped and you've seen really good things happen with it, then your motivation is probably going to be high. And if they've made it so that you can just click on a QR code and your bank statement or your banking information is already there and it's so easy, then these two are going to come up here and it's probably going to happen. Then we conversely, we'll look at maybe the motivation's low because you haven't seen it work for people and maybe you think it's a scam. And then it's a hard ability because they've sent you an envelope, but you have to pay for the stamp and you have to find a check and it's just hard to do. So those are going to collide here and probably not happen. We introduce an action line here. If the motivation is somewhere in the low range and the ability is kind of hard, so anywhere in here, it's probably not going to happen. The higher the motivation, the easier it is, the more likely that it's going to happen. So all types of human behavior need motivation, ability, and prompt, and if one is missing, the behavior won't happen. My son is majoring in psychology, and he said that what he's learned is also you need to have the belief that you can do it. So you may have the ability and not have that belief in yourself. So belief comes into it as well. And then last week we went over this. We're looking at trying to increase steps. And we did a bit of a brainstorm, which is something that you can do on your own when you're trying to build a habit. Put the habit that you would like in the middle and then brainstorm all the different prompts that could help you get that. So we brainstormed and got while I'm in wellness class, I get my steps, or while the microwave is going, I'm shuffle dancing, or when I go on my morning break, I go to the auditorium, I walk the ramp and with high steps. So we brainstormed all the different possibilities, hard or easy, or just anything that could happen. And then we went and rated them. What's the ability and what's the motivation? And we picked two that were really high on the ability and motivation and went with those. And then we also said, um, so this is what I'm going to do, and this is what the prompt is. So the prompt is while I'm in wellness class, I get my steps, or when I turn my Zoom on for wellness class, I start walking. And then you make your statement while I'm or after I'm in wellness class, I will get steps. So there's your statement. And we've looked at the motivation, we've looked at the ability and the prompt, and looking at it, seeing how easy it is. Hopefully, your belief that you can do it is high as well. Then we will look at this last step of the celebration. The celebration gives you the feeling of shine. That's the word in the book, Tiny Habits. This is the feeling that's going to help motivate you to want to do it again. So if every time the one that I'm working on right now is after I eat, I walk for at least 5 minutes. And when I remember that I need to do that. I celebrate. And for me, I sing, I am the champion. And so when I remember it, I sing that. When I'm doing it, I sing it. When I've finished it, I sing it. And it gives me that feeling, that shine feeling of accomplishment. And I'm doing this really great thing. And this is the intrinsic motivation that is so much more powerful than the extrinsic motivation of when I've walked every day for 5 days, I'll get a t-shirt or something. So we're looking at more of that intrinsic that will actually make that change. And when we're looking at these behaviors, we're remembering that here, I gotta remember what I'm doing here. Not that. Uh, the Okinawans, the people in the blue zones, they are not having to push themselves to get steps, to eat whole foods, to sleep enough. It's just part of who they are. And building these tiny habits is how we are going to put that into our lives. It's just going to be things that we do without even thinking about it. And this week we're looking at whole foods because a lot of us are working on that right now. It's super important. It's part of the challenge that we're working on, and some of us are struggling with it. So that is why I've chosen this one to go over. I've made this paper that tells us the habit at the top, why it's important, the impact that it has on you, and then the different ingredients into whole foods. So we've got greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, seeds, and nuts, and those are all the G bombs from Dr. Furman. And then whole grains, cruciferous vegetables, herbs and spices, vitamin D and B12, avoiding processed foods and oils and fermented foods, and those make up the rest of the the daily dozen that Dr. Greger recommends that we have. So if we look at these, let's just choose one here. Okay, so berries. We're going to read about why they're important. And so when we want to do whole foods, looking at this list of all the things that would go into a whole foods diet could be kind of overwhelming. So we're going to break it down into tiny habits, and we're going to just pick one area that we feel we have the motivation to do, the ability to do, the belief that we have that ability. And then now we're going to look at what that prompt is going to be. So why berries are important, and then here's some examples of tiny habits, and you don't have to pick these. You can choose what you want. This one says, after I prepare for breakfast, I'll add a handful of berries to my oatmeal or smoothie, or after lunch, I'll have a small bowl of fresh or frozen berries for dessert, or after I pack my snacks, I'll include a serving of berries. So you'll choose one of these and or make your own. So you're going to write down all of the habits and the routines that you already have. This is an important step. What's your morning routine look like? What does your break routine, your lunch routine, your evening routine, your bedtime routine? What are those routines? Write them down, all the different steps, so that you have that base document that's going to build, everything else is going to build on. So I guess if you could do one thing tonight, I would start that. I would get that written out because everything else is going to build on that. So for the berries, you're going to look at what you already do. So for me, if it's breakfast time, I walk in the kitchen, I open the fridge. So I would say, so you're also going to have this page. After I open the fridge for breakfast, I will pull out the berries. And just doing that, that tiny habit, maybe I wouldn't even make it to putting it in my food, though I don't know why I wouldn't because I pulled them out. But just that tiny habit of pulling out the berries, that whenever it's breakfast, I pull out the berries. And then what's going to happen is once that's a routine, next time you may add, after I open the fridge, I pull out the berries and the greens. So you see how they can start stacking on each other and becoming just part of just what you do. So you'll use this, write down what you're going to be doing. And now we're going to look at the form. The form. I've been trying to push this more because for a lot of reasons, so that you are aware of what you're doing, so I'm aware of what you're doing and can help you through that. But also, there was a study done by Harvard, and I can't remember the exact statistics, but it was pretty low, the people who actually made goals. And then it was even lower, the people who wrote them down. Now, but the people who wrote them down were significantly um, more likely to accomplish those goals. And that is what we are doing. We are writing them down every week using this form. And now I've got it set so that when I fill this out, when you fill this out, it emails you automatically and it emails me as well so that I can check in and know where you're at. So I've slowed it down so you don't have to add in, or simplified so you don't have to add the date anymore. You just put your name, your email so that it can email you. And what is your why? Remind yourself why you're on this journey. What habit are you focusing on this week? So, this past week. So if you've been doing something here, I'll show you mine. This is what I'm working on right now. And I'm really focusing on this one. After I finish eating, I walk for at least 5 minutes. So that's the one I'm really focusing on. The other two are, they're important to me, but I'm really focusing here. So I will write down what habit I'm focusing on this week. So I'll write down, I've been walking after meals. And if I want to, I can write a paragraph in there about the other two that I'm working on, and that's fine. Then you're going to write what went well with it, what challenges came up, and this is all so that you're more aware of where you're at also. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how automatic does this feel? And then the next one, if it was a 7 or higher, it's time to layer in a new habit. And we're going to start small. And if you don't feel like you're ready, even if it's over a 7, that's fine. Just say, just don't choose one of these. And then what will your habit statement for this week be? So here, if you're rated a 7 or higher, you're going to choose. Here are the 12 essential habits for longevity and disease resistance. And you're going to go in and choose which one is most important to you next. And these are in an order. So I would recommend starting at the top. Or if there's something you just really feel important that you need to work on, go ahead and click on it. And then we'll start very slowly with it. So don't worry about if it looks hard or something. If it's important to you, we'll make it work. And then what will your habit statement for this week be, or do you need help with this? So you'll go here and you'll write out your habit statement. Actually, maybe you'll go to make that swarm. So perhaps you're going to choose balanced diet and then you're going to go make that swarm. So you'll put balanced diet in the center and then you'll do a brainstorming, or let me know that you need help and I'll send you the page. I've got one of these for each of the habits. I'll send you the page with some ideas for things that you can do to be building that habit that you chose. And then if you rated this below a 7, what's one small adjustment you can make this week to feel more confident with it? Say you rated it a 3 because you've been trying to walk 5 minutes after every meal and it just isn't happening. Maybe it's happening 3 days in the week and you're trying to get it to be every day. So you're going to make an adjustment and take it down to 3 minutes or take it down to 1 minute and make your new statement and go write it down. And then, so this is just to keep track of what you've been working on and what you've accomplished, but also write it down on your mirror, on a whiteboard, or on a piece of paper on your fridge, or somewhere where you're going to see it all the time and be celebrating every time that you do it. So you get that feeling of shine. So write down what that small adjustment's going to be if it was below a 7, and then anything else you'd like to share or report. Hopefully, as you're looking through this, you can see why it's important to be looking at your habits, where you're at with them, what needs to change, or what needs to just keep on going, and maybe uh, just focus harder or simplify it. And and that is what I have for you today. So let me know if you have any questions, and good luck writing out your schedule, your routines, and I look forward to seeing your form on Friday.